How do you build an empire? You don't start with glass and steel and concrete. You start with a single brick. Laid side by side together, they become something much bigger. These bricks are a part of history. The people who set them into the earth were building more than just a racetrack. They were building a legacy. They were building memories. They were building dreams. As decades passed, a kingdom rose around this 2.5-mile ribbon of asphalt. It became an international icon. Lives were made here, and lives were lost here, in a pursuit of eternal glory. No one has to say why this place is special. It just is. And though over the years the pavement between these walls has been paved time and time again, there is still a stretch of bricks by the finish line to remind us all that great things come from humble beginnings.
Each year, over 300,000 people head to Indianapolis Motor Speedway in the month of May. This mass annual migration is usually for the sights and sounds of open-wheel Indy cars on the oval for the Indy 500. But the venue has much more than the 4 turns around its perimeter. Inside, it has a flat, technical road course, one that takes as much skill as luck to tame. The Sim Championship Racing Series is only 3 rounds away from completing its 2020 season, with a trip to Ferrari's home track at Imola next week and the season finale at America's National Park of Speed at Road America. Tonight, 3 races will determine our round 12 winners before we pack up and head to Italy. Welcome to Sim TV. My name's Kyle. I are joined by Finney and Dakuna for round number 12 of 15 this season. We only have a couple of rounds left after this. We head to Imola and then we head to Road America, 14 rounds. So we head to this round, then Imola 13, and we'll finish out round number 14 at Road America in Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin. Tonight, though, Indianapolis Motor Speedway fitting and qualifying already underway. This track, we don't really visit a whole lot, but when we do, it's been pretty solid.
Yeah, it really has been. And first time, I believe we're coming here for the SCRS Ferrari Challenge, if I'm not mistaken. We've come here quite a few times for IndyCar racing, as well as a few times for stock car racing, as well as guys are getting more acclimatized, especially with road course layout being run with the Xfinity Series.
Is your voice going?
No, I don't know.
You sound different tonight. I'm trying to figure out if your voice is gone or not. But hey, we got 6 minutes left in qualifying. Jeff Roy, and you're looking at him right now. He's the quickest driver on the board. He's got a 1:26.050. He's the best driver out there as it stands. Pretty solid field tonight. Just over 20 cars lined up to start this event. 3 races. 15 minutes, 50 minutes, 20 minutes with a top 10 invert for race 2 and a top 20 invert for race 3. This format's worked out pretty nicely. It's been very exciting. At Lime Rock Park, we had a couple big accidents towards the end of the night, but that was a tight little bull ring. This is a totally different story this week.
And very fairly wide part of the track, especially see there on the back straightaway. There's a lot of pavement off to the left. You can't use it if you go out too wide. off the corner. You go past pretty much around where that DRS sign on your exit, you could pick up a penalty and a slowdown penalty, and that can really hurt you, not only in your lap early qualifying, but also in the race in general.
There's Colton Lights in the number 6, and this entire team, this Peak Performance Motorsport team, last week at Lime Rock Park, they really showed their muscle in that third race of the night. They started up front and for the most part stayed up front with a few small exceptions. Corey Hartz and Sartaj Mann, the other two drivers we have to keep an eye on. But also standouts last week, Justin Johansson of the 119 and Jake Johansson of the 06. Both of them had really solid races and are going to have a lot of paces both tonight, both inside the top 10 right now.
Yeah, and again, I'm going to probably say this, if I haven't said it last week, I'm going to probably say for the rest of the season. Really interested in seeing how these drivers perform. And kind of were mid-season entries into this season. And then showing also a lot of pace and a lot of winning potential out of these cars.
So this racetrack, we don't have a track map tonight, but you can take a look down and look at this layout. This is a relatively old layout of this facility, Finney. It hasn't looked like this in quite some time, but for the most part, very, very flat. It's pretty technical, especially over the right side of your screen. That little turn 9, 10, 11, 12 complex before you head back out under the oval. That's a tricky section to carry speed through.
Yeah, absolutely. And looking here, currently in qualifying, Jeffrey Royan on the top of the charts. Hefner slowly in behind in second place.
And points as of last week were shaken up a little bit for you.
Yeah, they were, and it's going to be Hefner back at the top. He's got 10 points ahead over Kirk Crum, yeah. And then looking actually back, there's a second column too that they done here. Again, thanks to Andrew and Eric Mickey for setting this up. They started accounting for the drop weeks as well to get a more accurate picture. So with the drop weeks accounted for, it's actually a 30-point gap between Hefner and Crum.
So it's growing, and we only have a couple weeks left to sort things out. So Crum is really hoping to have a standout night tonight. The Bombshell Motorsports cars, Bombshell Racing Team, they have new liveries this week. Some chrome applying to the wrap of this 88. I think the base scheme is mostly unchanged. Andrew Mickey also running a similar colored car with the pink livery on board. New banners on the windshield as well, liking the look of those, but they'll be easier to spot in the hot Indianapolis sun. Take a look at the weather and qualifying. Track surface is pretty toasty. We see this track get very, very hot.
Yeah, and I think it's definitely going to catch these drivers off guard in a few sections of track. And I think definitely in the second half, you know, with a constant left, right, left. I'm not sure what really to call this section, if it even has a name.
I tried to find a track map for this to even to build a reference off of. It's so difficult.
Yeah,
I don't know what any of the corners' numbers are. I don't know what they call it. It's just here. It's gone now. So any relevance that this has is now extinct. But at least we get to race on something that resembles the Indianapolis road course.
Andrew Mickey coming back into the oval here. Oval turn 1. We'll see where he lines up here. It should be his first solid flying lap.
And it will be across the line. It will be a 1:27.6. That's not going to be good enough to jump him up very far, up to 15th place. Justin Johansson is third best right now. He just ran I believe that's his best Sector 1 so far, 17.995. We'll see if he can pick it up right behind him. I think that is second place Zach Hefner, who might get a bit of a draft here on this back straight. Not going to be a huge deal. There's not a ton of straightaway on the middle section of this course, but the front straight, there is a significant opportunity for slipstream because of how long it is between Oval 1 and Oval 4 where you rejoin the road course.
Because you're going to be accelerating the entirety. Once you come out of turn 11 or 12, I want to say, this corner here, you're pretty much going to be on the gas until you get back to turn 1. So for all intents and purposes, it's essentially a straightaway.
Yeah, I mean, you're really flat to the floor. As you mentioned, you're working these 520, 550 horsepower cars up to their maximum potential speed. We're on board with Hefner here. And I just want to take a look at the telemetry, and we'll see what speed he gets up to. Look at Johansson moving over to maybe to keep Hefner out of the draft. You see him moving to the right now. But over 160, over 170 for Hefner as they get down into turn 1. 175 is what he's going to peak out at before he dives on the brakes for turn number 1.
That's running on hot laps. You see Johansson up ahead he was trying to swerve out of the way of the 51 not to give him a run until he got to the line.
Yeah, it wasn't an improvement for Hefner last time by, but he did pick up a significant portion of time, and Johansson's going to call it quits there and end up in the chain link fence. I can't imagine there's not a wall there in real life now. But
I would hope there is.
Can't imagine a chain link fence do a very good job at stopping a race car. But a couple drivers are in the server that have not yet laid down a time, one of those being Christian Ost and the other being Terry Newmaster. The other 20 drivers in the grid have laid down times. We have About 10 drivers within 0.7 of a second, so really close up at the front of this field. We've seen really intense competition, especially last week at Lime Rock. I think we'll see the same today, especially once we get the field inverted. I think we're seeing less and less of the fast guys charging through the field and more of the guys that use the invert to jump up front. They're staying there more frequently than they have.
Yeah, we saw it especially again with that team with Corey Hart's, Man, and Colton Lights. Didn't really do a great job in qualifying. Even tonight here too, it's looking like it's not going to be a particularly good qualifying effort for them. They're starting getting the highest car, and that team is 13th with Corey Hart's. But when the invert happened, they were able to stay up in the front. They were qualified up in the front, or were put up in the front, and stay there for the remainder of the race pretty well. So they got some solid race pace in that team.
Looking down at the famous Indianapolis Pagoda here as the field lines up on the front straightaway, 22 cars strong. Again, typically when you'd run this course, you'd run this with a standing start. We're going to be in a rolling start today behind the Porsche 911 pace car. We'll head through the grid here in a moment. I do want to take one last look at the weather before we go green. Track surface temp is going to continue to rise almost to 110 degrees Fahrenheit. That's the hottest we've seen it at any track in Ferrari Challenge races so far this year, to my knowledge. This is the hottest it's been. Not ambient-wise. Ambient temp's still a very comfortable 76, but the track surface itself gets so hot. There's a lot of sun baking down here in Indianapolis, Indiana, so it's going to affect how these cars handle. It's going to be very greasy and slick, and these mid-engine platforms, they like to loop around on you like a top on the cold tires.
Yeah, especially in some of these corners too. You gotta manage the throttle coming out of some of these corners, otherwise you can loop yourself, especially in the opening lap. Definitely not the thing you want to do. And I think also, talking about the opening lap, turn one, that's going to be very hectic. You see all these guys coming down this long straightaway. You're going to see guys potentially fan out 3 wide, but it's very tight going into turn one. You got to be careful for that.
It sure is. So the art of bricks, you typically run the other direction. You head down into turn one here at the oval, and you basically do that 4 more times. You come back around to the start finish. That's a lap. It usually takes you about 45 seconds, 40 seconds in an Indy car. Tonight, it's going to take us about 1:26 to go the opposite way through the road course. The field pulls off. Let's roll through our starting lineup on the front row tonight. It's going to be Jeff Roy in the 233 and Zachary Hefner in the 51. Florida and Ohio represented on the front row.
Moving on back to row number 2, it's going to be Justin Johansson in the 119 on the inside, next to Carter Kundinger in the 2. Lineup in 4th.
In row number 3 on the inside lane, Kurt Crum, the Bombshell Racing Team number 87. Eric Mickey, another Bombshell car on the outside in 6th. It is number 88.
Now back into 7th, we find Jake Johansson in the 06 lined up on the inside. Next to him, Isaac Snyder going to line up in the 333 in 8th.
New livery for Snyder. We'll go over that here in a minute. Brian Chmielewski starts in 9th in his number 12 car. Brian Sohn out of California with the Penguin RC Simulations car. He starts 10th in the 03.
Back in 11th is going to be Nicholas Morelli in the 714. Next to him, Justin Rodriguez in the 27, going to line up in 12th.
In 13th place, Corey Hartz out of the Carolinas in his number 57. And Benjamin Pagula in the 17 out of Florida. He starts 14th.
Back in row 8, it's going to be Golden Lights in the 6th car on the inside in 15th. Next to him in 16, Andrew Mickey lining up in the 86 car.
In 17th on the inside, Ben Schouts, number 66 from Michigan. Sartaj Mann in the number 49 rolls off 18th from Texas.
Back in 19th is going to be Thomas Cooper lined up in the 584. Next to him, Johnny Bell in the 72 is going to line up and round out your top 20.
Last row going to be the 21st place car, Christian Ost in the 157 out of Pennsylvania, and Terry Newmaster in the 000. He rolls off 22nd, finishes out the grid. We mentioned the new livery for the 333. This is his Formula SAE team paint scheme. So a nice little tie-in there at the end of the school year for the 333. I'm sure his work is going to continue into the summer on that. As we roll through the middle sector of this course, going to get really tight, but teammates sharing the front row. Got to play nice up here. We've seen teammates get in trouble in the past. We'll see if they can avoid that situation tonight as we head through what is now oval turn 2 to oval 1. That'll bring us to the green flag here momentarily. 3 races, the first of which is 15 minutes long. At the conclusion of this race, we'll invert the top 10. That'll be our starting order for race 2. Then we'll invert the top 20 for our starting order for race number 3. SCRS Ferrari Challenge for the Sim Championship Racing Series, round 12 of 14 in 2020. We head to Imola next week, Ferrari's home track. But today, it's America's home for racing at Indianapolis. Green flag flies. We're racing at Indy for SCRS Ferrari Challenge.
Already the row's getting broken up, guys. Picking and choosing a lane, the race down to turn 1. see any incidents in the midfield.
Yeah, you gotta be really careful. Look at the 3 wide and the back 4 wide for a moment. They're all gonna come down to a very slow crawl. There's a touch.
There it
The
is.
57 of Corey Hartz gets pushed off the bumper. The 17, he goes off course. Sartaj Man, he's gonna break, but I think he got through without too much drama. Justin Johansson's off in turn number 4.
After showing so much pace, he's gonna go off the course and drop way down the order. Up in front, still Royan leading over Hefner, Kundinger, your top 3.
We're gonna head through to the back straightaway, so already for Justin Johansson, some work left to do. He'll drop to 15th position. A lot of ground to make up. Don't run too wide here. You can pick yourself up a penalty as they head down the back straight.
It's like he's really abusing that in qualifying, but now it's gonna mean a lot more if you get to slow down. It's gonna cost you quite a few positions. Seeing a move potentially.
Brian Schmelski and Nicholas Morelli, 9th and 10th, down into the 9th corner here as they make the left-hander. And behind him, Andrew Mickey and Colton Lights in the 6th. Lights, I believe now, is the leading Peak Performance Motorsport team car.
Yeah, it was not a particularly good start for that organization, especially with two other cars involved in it. Lights was able to get on through, trying to move up the order now. And if he can move up a few more spots, he can be there in front for the invert for the top 10.
Whoa, trouble! And Terry Newmaster is going to go around. Oh no, it's not Terry Newmaster. It is
Johnny Bell, 72.
Johnny Bell's 72 car. That was a wild ride for just a moment. Go back and take a look at how he got turned around. There was a car in front of him,
I think. Purple and black.
Oh no, it was
Cooper?
Thomas Cooper's 584. And that's what turned around Johnny Bell. So trouble there pretty early as we head back up the field to find Zachary Hefner 6/10 back from Jeff Roy, and they're probably going to play nice, but Carter Kundinger, a good start, a good place to start for him tonight. 4th, he's gained a spot. This is a car I'd watch out for tonight.
Yeah, he's currently 4th in the points. He's chasing down actually Roy, who's currently sitting in 3rd in the points, so those guys in competition. Eric Mickey, damage to the left side of that car.
That's severe damage. That might be a retirement, actually. They'll get back rolling, but was there contact maybe? It was his teammate Kurt Crum in front of him. He might have just gotten in here too hot. I thought there was damage.
Oh, he just looped it? Did someone hit him?
No, maybe no damage at all. Looks like there's a little on the left front, but I thought there was more damage.
It only rendered that after he went off the track into the grass.
Maybe ground the bottom of the car up against the edge of the track. He's working around Sartaj Man now behind him. Thomas Cooper goes to the inside of Terry Newmaster. That's for 19th place. We'll have to jump back up to 2nd to find Hefner trying to hold off Carter Kundinger as they come out of oval turn 1 and back onto the front straight. And this is by the camera at 170 miles an hour.
Yeah, usually these guys are going 220 in the other direction in Indy cars.
And here comes Isaac Snyder, going to have a dive up the inside of Jake Johansson into turn number 1. He'll think better of it and back out.
Yeah, had a really good run on the back, Jansen, but again, not enough to be alongside, so it's going to be single file still for them.
Carter Kundinger as he chases down both the race leaders. Now, will Hefner and Royan play nice because Kundinger's close behind them? So I think that it's going to push Hefner to maybe drive a little harder than he wants to and maybe have to pass his teammate because they have the non-team car in behind.
I mean, remember, there is a 30-point gap between Hefner and Kurt Crum, so I think really for Hefner, I would just keep my eyes on Kurt Crum, forget the rest. Kundinger's not going to catch him up in the points, so if anything, if you have to, just let him on by.
Colton Lights in the 6th and Christian Ost in the 13. They've traded spots, move Ost up to 13th spot. And he started pretty deep in the field, 21st, so up 9 spots. Or 8 spots, can I do the math right? 8 spots for Christian Ost.
Really solid climb forward. This car's actually been performing really well.
It had a solid run at Lime Rock last week. Didn't quite get the result he probably deserved there, but had the pace to be at least the podium. As we go back to Thomas Cooper and Corey Hart, some good battles at the tail of the field. This might not matter so much right now or even for the next race, but if you're battling for 20th spot for race 3, this is going to be an important place to be. But that's a long way away, so I think they're trying to move up from here.
Yeah, I think for Corey Hart, this race at least might be a write-off here. I don't really think he in a whole lot more positions other than fighting with Newmaster. Looking at Rodriguez and Johansson side by side heading down to turn 1. Johansson with the run to the outside.
Yeah, this should be a pretty easy pass for Johansson to make if he can just stay on the left before they head to turn 2. Rodriguez is almost going to re-clear. They're going to touch. No, they don't. They're going to get out and move to turn 3 and 4 and single back out.
Yeah, Johansson gave way too much room to Rodriguez on the entry into 1. And he got really tight into 2, and now you see him gonna miss the apex there, and a battle in behind. This is Andrew Mickey in the 86 and the silver blue and silver car, and then we see Christian Oast trying to still move some
Oh, big
spots.
stack up, and Colton Lights did a spectacular job jumping on the binders to avoid running into the back of the 157. Thomas Cooper around again, and a very troublesome start for this race.
Yeah, really, really miserable race for Thomas Cooper. You just see him just get loose.
And good job by, I believe that was Johnny Bell, to get around the spinning Ferrari. Back up to second. Kundinger is within stone's throw of second place Zach Hefner. Now we're around on board, see how much that draft really counts for.
It's going to be quite a bit. We're also going to check the speedo as well, as these guys get a solid run on one another.
On the straightaway this time through for Kundinger, what's it going to be? 175. About a 3-mile-an-hour difference is the peak of what we saw, but he didn't close in quite as much as I would have thought.
Yeah, I think you also have to account for the fact that Hefner is also getting a tow from the car ahead. He's getting a tow from Arroyan, so for Kundinger, it's not going to help him that terribly much. He's going to close in a little bit, but also Hefner getting a draft to the car ahead is going to help him out quite a bit. But looking at it as the top 4 breakaways, actually, I imagine where your winner for this race is going to come from.
Yeah, they're having a really cracking scrap, as John Heidhoff would say, for the race lead. But you see Arroyan starting to feel pressure from his teammate here.
I'm curious how they're going to sort themselves out. For the most part, it seems within this team, they respect each other quite a bit and are willing to work with each other. So I'm curious if maybe we might see Arroyan let Hefner on by, or what's going to happen.
I'm not sure that really does them a whole lot of good. I think the fear is Kundinger, so Hefner's got to play rear gunner. The problem is Kundinger's not going to play rear gunner for anybody because he's got Kurt Crum behind him, so he's going to try to go. Yeah. And as soon as he gets around Hefner, it's game on.
Kundinger got a really good run out of the corner there. Now back onto the oval section. He's pretty close.
The humid skies out here, thick air today at Indianapolis Motor Speedway as they head through oval turn 1 and back up through the gears to the top of 6th is where they'll be at the end of the
already gaining up quite a bit. He's going to have a really good run heading down into turn 1 here. We could see the pass for a second. You see Hefner go defensive already, going to pull off. Now Kundinger, that was actually an interesting move there.
But he'll stay defensive as Kundinger tries to go around the outside. If he can hang tight on the left-hander, he'll have the spot. But now the track switches back to a right. So Hefner is going to hang on. And here comes Crum up the inside of Kundinger. This is going to be a great spot for Crum to advance up into podium position. Side by side for third.
Crum really threw the car in there. Almost got it sideways. He's going to try to nose and muscle his way past
that was
third.
tight.
Great pass for Kurt Crum in the 87. Going to move himself up into podium position.
Jake Johansson's gone around. This is in turn 4.
Both the Janssens having trouble here in that corner.
Was there a touch maybe with 330? Oh no, he just caught in the grass. Yep.
That's the problem when you're aiming for the curbing as part of your entry point. You're gonna, if you run over it and just miss your mark by a few inches, you're gonna clip the grass and get
more trouble.
Oh,
and is it Jake? Oh, it's Jonathan Rodriguez this time in the 27 car.
Talking about these cars just slipping and sliding.
I think there was he was already out of control.
Wow.
And the traction control saved him here, and then I think what's going to happen is the 157 is going to go up the inside. There was definitely a touch there. That was Jake Johansson. Or that was Justin Johansson. They got the other end of that. So both Johanssons had some trouble that time through. Back up to third place. Look at the top 4 all nose to tail together as we come on through. 6 minutes left as we head down the front straight.
There you see them chasing each other down the front straightaway into turn 1 after going to defend this time.
And Crum has to be sort of careful here to not get into the back of the 51, especially in those hard braking zones as they run down together into turn number 4.
Oh,
that was a late dive. The hole opened. He went for it. Crum hasn't been known to necessarily take his time. If he sees the hole, he'll go for it. Took a dive, wasn't able to quite complete it, but I think Hefner knows he wants it bad.
Yeah, correction to our scoring pylon showing 9 laps to go. Currently, there's 5 minutes and 30 seconds remaining in the race.
Yeah, that's correct. I don't know why it's saying that, but I'll try to sort that out for maybe the third race. I'm not sure I'll have time for the second, but we'll do something about it if we can. Down into turn number 9, Hefner still hangs on to second, and now Arroyan's been able to build up about a 1 second gap as Ben Shout goes around over, I think this is in turn 6. Gets in again, really slippery racetrack.
That's what I was going to say. We were talking about it earlier with how hot the track is. You know, a little bit, you put yourself in the corner too hard, pushing the corner too hard, gonna loop back on you.
Back onto the oval section, Jeff Royan comes on through. This will be
Hefner.
4 laps to go for the race leader.
And Hefner's in trouble here. He's a second back from his teammate. He's not getting a draft from up ahead. Meanwhile, he's under attack from Kurt Crum. He's going to get a really big slipstream. You can see him already starting to build up.
This is a losing battle for Hefner, unfortunately. Without a slipstream in front of you, you're pretty much at the whim as Crum closes right up to the tailgate through turns 1 and 2, and Crum is putting that pressure on. Might have a swipe into 3 or 4 here. That's what he tried last time.
Yeah, it is. It looks like he's losing a little bit too much ground in the first few corners, so he's going to have to sit in behind Hefner, but definitely starting to mount that pressure on the 51. I haven't seen Hefner really fall to pressure before, so I think he'll keep his nerves calm, but...
Oh, Carter Kundinger trying to chuck it up the inside and hold close before he got there.
Yeah, I was going to say, you can see Kurt Crum not only having to worry about trying to attack the car ahead, but defend from the car in behind.
Watch the track limits there on track out. I'm not exactly sure where the limit is. You just go out beyond that DRS sign out there. That typically gets you a penalty. Isaac Snyder has had it off. He'll get back on course.
From my experience, I think if you keep half of the car to the half the car to the right side, I think you kind of get away with some stuff. But you don't want to test the system.
It's a big slowdown out there.
Yeah, it's a really big one.
It's not one that you want to get.
Back under the oval.
Yeah, so Royan leads, and his lead is growing, so you have to wonder if Hefner's backed down his pace or if he's just making more mistakes now that he's had Kurt Crum in the mirrors. You can see Crum in the display screen there in the center. Mid-engine platform doesn't really allow you to see very well out the rear of this car. Hefner's going to move driver's right, Crum to driver's left on the front straight, side by side into the braking zone. We'll see if Hefner gives it up. These two have had run-ins before this season. I'm not sure that they're the big fans of each other. As Crum goes to the inside, that'll be a pass if he can hang on to it, and it looks like he might be able to.
I'm trying to make the move work, and he's really just trying to build up points now back to Hefner. A really good job on that pass, and going to be more points his way, and now he's also going to be a fan of Carter Kundinger, hoping that he can get on by the 51. And here he goes, up the inside. Oh, he turned him.
Yeah, the 51. And he almost had overlap there, almost, but not quite enough to consider that in there. Yeah, not quite. I mean, door was open, yes, but he wasn't alongside.
Yeah,
that's a tough call, but either way, that might be a situation that'll be looked at or warning for next week. But Kundinger on through to third. I'm not sure that it matters. Meanwhile, up front, Royan has a 1.3 second lead over Kurt Crum. Will be coming to 2 laps to go next time by. So the question now becomes: does Crum have enough time to get there? As these three have traded, or it looks like we got Kundinger on. Give the spot back.
Oh, he gave the spot back. Okay, that's a nice thing to do.
Good sportsmanship there as Ben Shout in the 66 goes around for a loop. Was there a touch with the 49 of Sartaj, man?
This is a hard part of track to run side by side. And
I don't know if they touched, but I think it was netcode if there was.
Yeah, it was really close. And again, like I was saying, that's a tough part to be side by side. Very much a one-lane corner at full speed.
Now, Hefner's got a... Thank you for listening that. How long was it like that?
I don't know.
Down into turn number 1, though. Kundinger goes for a move. And Hefner stays behind for now as they head through 3 and 4. Now he's going to take a big dive up the inside in turn 4. Through he is.
Here he comes back. Great run from Kundinger, but again, there's a tight corner here at full speed. You guys are going to track out to the curb and again up the inside.
Too hot.
Yeah, Hefner's going to throw it in too hot. Going to open up the door for Kundinger, but it's going to be a right-hand turn coming up.
And threading the needle between the 51 and the edge of the track limits. They touch!
Oh, man.
On the straightaway. A push and a shove. That was a hip check there by the 51 car. We'll get away without damage, but I'm not sure that these two are going to be huge fans of each other after that. I'm not really sure who initiated, but I'm sure they both feel like the other did. Trying to get power down now to arc in this final corner and set yourself up for the oval. Not a good run for the 51 car, though. Yeah. And Kurt Crum is not closing in on Jeff Royan as we come out of turn number... I guess it'll be oval 1. The white flag will be out for Royan this time through with 30 seconds left.
And I think Kurt Crum's a little bit too far back to... he didn't really close up either that last lap through on Royan, so he's going to have to settle for second place, which I think he's fine with. Again, I think he's just trying to get a one-up on Hefner as much as he can. Hefner, speaking of which, up the inside of Kundinger, side by side into 1.
Yeah, and Hefner is going to clear Kundinger before they get there. Cross over, cross under. He's going to try to do what Kurt Crum did. Didn't work quite as well. Now we'll have a run into turn 4. We'll see if Hefner stays driver's right or if he'll open up the corner. They're both going to move to the driver's
Hefner is
left.
going to be tight on the entry, but going to park the bus so Kundinger couldn't get a run.
Now another dive, and I think he'll know not to make the same mistake he did last time and go in there too deep, too late. The white flag officially out. This is the best battle on the racetrack for position right now for third place at podium. Driver in the invert spot will be Eric Mickey as it stands in the 10th place 88 Bombshell Racing Team car, so he will be starting on pole for race 2 as we head down into turn 9. And Kundinger still needs to put some more pressure on this 51.
He has to be really close here on the eggs as they head back onto the oval. He might have a chance to slingshot
good run. Solid run, but he needs to get the most out of this corner. Meanwhile, up at the front as these two race to the checker, it'll be Jeff Arroyan taking the checkered flag. Kurt Crum back in second, but the battle right now for third. Kundinger's going to go, that's going to be really tight. He had to back out. I think he knew that was going to be a disaster if he tried it. So Zach Hefner is going to hang on at the stripe. He'll finish podium. Kundinger in fourth. Then Brian Sohn in fifth.
Brian Sohn really saw a run for him up in fifth place. You see him behind. Morelli gonna ike over Isaac Snyder for sixth place. Moving on back, then is Brian Shabelski in eighth. Christian O's gonna finish in ninth.
That's an interesting finishing spot for him because he will be on the front row for the second race tonight. We'll take a look at our race results. Jeff Arroyan, Crum, Hefner, Kundinger, Brian Sohn, Morelli, Snyder, Shabelski, Ost, and Mickey. Invert those drivers. That'll be your top 10 starting in race number 2. Then the rest of the field down in 11th, 12th, 13th. Jake Johansson, Justin Johansson, Colton Lights. And the rest of the drivers will, I'm not going to get a good chance to look at it because of the change in server stats here. So we'll be lined up. As I seen it, camera.
No, I know. I'm just wondering why that is down there. I don't remember touching the scenic cameras right here. I blame iRacing.
It's easy to do. Got a response on the curve.
Yeah, I know. Oh, maybe I did. I did touch this because I set this one up.
You touch turns to
or apparently ends up inside the ground.
That's what gold is. So.
Oh yeah, there you go.
There's definitely a pun. Is that a pun or a? All right, let's go ahead for race number 2. Eric Mickey will be on pole again. It'll be 11 laps that we'll fight for here in this second race of the night. We'll head back down and we'll take a look at our starting grid here in just a moment. However, our weather situation, look at the track surface temp now, 115 and only getting hotter.
Yeah, again, it was already pretty hot in the last race. I can't imagine how hot it's going to be in the... I mean, well, how much worse at least the track conditions are going to be for these guys in this race, if it's going to be worse.
Does the starter face the right direction? Because he's tilted to the left. We'll have to revisit this.
No, yeah, I think he is facing the wrong direction.
Also, he's standing in a box.
Oh, what? There's a box there?
Why is there? How would you?
Why is there a box there?
Maybe to keep you from. Is the whole thing backwards?
Oh, do you mean like no?
Like I feel like you would flip that around the other direction so that like the box is like it's that way. That's how you lock it,
right?
So people can't come up. It would be by the ladder.
Oh,
but
maybe?
I can't imagine that would have slipped through.
I mean,
but he's standing. He's inside a box. He's like a double amputee. They're boosting him up.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
interesting that he's not facing the right direction.
I just want to see because he's
no, because he faces away, like which is like what what you would imagine they would do, face the direction of travel, but guess not.
All right, well, Eric Mickey and Christian Ost are going to share this front row, and I like this 157 car. He's been really fast in recent weeks. We got to talk to him after Lime Rock Park last week, and he was saying how good he felt, how much pace he had in the car. I'm not sure. I think he's looking forward to this, but I think he's going to be a tough one to pass. So Eric Mickey's going to have to work really hard because if Ost can stay alongside Mickey into turn 1, Ost might have a run into turn 2 and 3 and be able to complete the pass.
It's going to be tough to tell though because again the leading car has control of the restart. So if Mickey can choose to go whenever he wants after the pace car dives off. So if he can get the jump on Ost, it should be enough to at least secure those first 2 spots, similar to what we saw in race 1. on the start. So I think Ost might be having to attack from second, but again, just looking at a really solid run out of that 157 car. And same thing too for Brian Sohn.
Sohn will start in 6th. Jake and Justin Johansson will start 11th and 12th. They're right behind our front 2 from the race, Orion and Crum. And that 4 is going to be a very powerful group together. So we'll have to keep an eye on them as they work their way through the field. So 11 laps, 15 minutes on the board for race number 2 as we head up onto the banking here in Indianapolis. Mickey choosing the inside lane, as one does here. No reason not to. There's not an exorbitant amount of runoffs. There's really no advantage to taking the outside. If you're at a place like Road America or Watkins Glen, you might want the outside lane to carry some speed through there, but not here. So you see the turn number 1 in the sights there, but the start, yep.
That's a little embarrassing.
All right, green flag, gonna be in the air here. Well, at some point.
Other way, guy. Oh,
Big
6
stack up.
wide already as the guys race past the yard of bricks.
4 wide for a moment. Now 3 wide as they head down into turn number 1. This is going to get really dicey for the race leaders. Looks like they're through so far. Going to be a big stack up, though.
Yeah.
I don't think we're going to be able to get out of this without having a stack up.
So far, so good. Whoa. Jake James almost got turned around there. He got really close to it, but I saw one go off at the very end.
Ben Shout off for a bit of a slide. He'll pull back on course. Shimelski to the outside of Carter Kundinger.
And Hafner already up in a 4th.
Oh, Snyder! Way too fast into turn 6, and he'll go around and back it up against the wall as the rest of the field works their way on by. At the start, then the 333 needed as Kurt Crum almost got a tap there from Morelli as they head onto the backstretch for the first time. Kundinger to the inside of Chimelski. He'll take 4th place away. Zach Hefner is up. How?
Yeah, no, that's what he climbed up into 4th. By the time they got to the hairpin, he moved up quite a few spots. You can see on the board on the windshield of the car indicating 8. That's where he started in, and was already up into 3rd, looking to potentially get the race win here. Oh no,
he's off. Go back and see. Did he just get me? Yeah, just got a little bit of grass.
Ah man, it was running in 4th at the time this happened. It's going to drop all the way back to 18th.
At the front of the field, Eric Mickey leads lap 1. Ost is 2nd. Now I'm curious to see how long Ost can hang on from Hefner charging in the background.
Yeah, this is going to be tough for Ost too, as you see some guys throwing some blocks heading down into turn 1.
Oh, deep is Kurt Crum. He's going to just jump on the binders, almost drilled the back of Arroyan, was able to escape off to the right quickly enough.
And you can see Arroyan being aggressive and defending, again, trying to help out his teammate Hefner, because Hefner's trying to, again, re-expand that points lead, because Kurt Crum's got a 1-up on him during this round.
Bolton Lights has jumped to pit lane, so that car looks like it's out for this race, at least for now, as we've all followed Brian Shimelski, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, all in the shot.
Building up a train of cars in behind him, with Sohn, Arroyan, and Kurt Crum in behind.
Hefner is through to 2nd, past Christian Ost. Now the battle for 4th place, still hot as Arroyan goes defensive on Kurt Crum.
Doing everything in his power to keep Crum in behind. Still side by side.
Oh, that's really dicey. That's tight. Crum's gonna have to run wide. Here comes Morelli up the inside. Slide for Kurt Crum rather. And there's Justin Johansson.
Yeah, almost got into him, and Johansson had to back off. Gonna lose some time. Get back onto the oval.
There's Sartaj Mann in the 49 car. He started this race in 16th. He's gained 5 spots right on the tailpipes of the 06.
Almost gave him a nudge going down into oval turn 1.
Mickey leads by 9/10 of a second. Mann going to look to driver's right. Johansson goes defensive into the first corner as Mann looks up the outside.
Gonna back out a bit, play this a little bit more cautiously.
Brian Sohn and Jeff Arroyan for 5th. I can't imagine Arroyan's going to sit back here for too much longer. His teammates driving away.
Ooh, and you see him trying to slow down to pitch the car back to the right and then back to the left on apex for the corner, but Sohn defending pretty well.
Sartaj Mann's gone around for a bit of a slide. Let's have a look. Was there maybe a touch between him and Jake Johansson? No. He's got in there into turn 4, too hot, and then just a lazy slide.
Yeah, and again, we were talking about the heat. This track being harder than it was in the last race, and it's starting to show. We've seen a few guys get sideways. in a few corners.
Yeah, it has cooled slightly since the race start, but it's still very, very hot. And I think Eric Mickey's time up here is borrowed because Hefner is running very quick lap times.
I don't know. Mickey might be able to hold his own. Mickey's a pretty fast driver and considered a pro, so I think he might have some pace to match with the 51. In behind in second, and maybe, you know, still fight with Hefner if he does get around. But he's going to come onto the front straightaway now. Gonna have a huge draft for the 51.
See the exhaust shimmering over the nose of the 51, but Hefner's going to go to the inside, and Mickey doesn't even defend. I think he knows that for now, battle is sort of futile, but he's going to try to come back on him and set him up for a pass. I'm not sure he'll be able to do it. But a valiant effort regardless.
Yeah, I'm curious again now if Mickey can just kind of ride it by. Ooh, he's got... we need to go back in a replay in turn one. Yeah, I thought he ran this a little bit too aggressively, and my thoughts were correct.
Yeah, so he tried to cross over the 51. He's going to turn down and right there at the end of the curb, cut it. Zartaj Man, I think, has also had an incident just now.
Oh man, he dropped back into 14th and already, and then you see him drop back down to 19th. So it's not been a good day for him. However, that being said, with the invert, he's currently set to line up in P2 for the start of race 3.
Here's Kurt Crum, and he's been actually sort of stuck way farther back than I thought. I know he slipped up a couple laps ago. I would have thought he would have been able to overcome it, as you see a lot of drivers battling in front of him, including up the road Jeff Arroyan, who beat him in race number 1 tonight.
Yeah, we saw Arroyan doing a really solid job defending, keeping Kurt Crum in behind. Not sure how. I think there might have been a mistake from Crum to drop back in behind Brian Stone and Morelli, or just not really been able to get on by. Wimel Arroyan has.
Hefner leads at the stripe. About halfway through this race now. And big jump to the inside for Crum.
Side by side with Morelli down into turn 1. There you see up the road Arroyan making a pass to the inside. Shabelski will get it done, and Kurt Crum will get past Morelli.
So move Crum up to 7th, right behind 6th place Brian Stone in the Penguin RC Simulations car. And he might try to do an over-under into turn 4. Oh, a big slip up for that corner seems to be where everyone's making mistakes tonight. It's so flat, you're carrying so much speed into it, slightly off camber, and the track temp's really hot. So you get in there and the car slips as he gets hit from behind from Morelli, and he'll keep it on track, and Morelli's gonna let him back in line. Nice.
Good
sportsmanship.
Good save by Stone to keep that on the track. Once you go into the grass and even the gravel past that, it gets really bad for you. And speaking of that same corner, Hart's around.
See what happened to Hart's, just gets in too hot, same thing.
These guys are, I think, have been having trouble getting these cars slowed down, sending it too hard to the corner, and then the car loops it once they get there.
There's Carter Kundinger. We saw him spin around early in the race. He's got Thomas Cooper to his inside. Cooper's in hot, but he's going to hang on to the spot. This is battle for 12th as Kundinger looks for a way by.
Aggressive move over the curving there. You see him trying to prioritize the exit to get a run on Cooper.
Sort of worked. He's going to have a run here, but now on the oval part, if you go to the left side, he might not have enough of a run to complete the pass. He's going to try it up there as Cooper leaves him the space, and now he's got Isaac Snyder behind him who went off early in the race. He's going to have to pick a line here.
And he's taking the outside lane for a little bit better run off the corner. He's also got the draft from Kundinger to help him out.
Battle for 12th spot into turn number 1. Kundinger is through to the spot, and it's Cooper side by side through turn 1. Snyder unable to take advantage of it, but now Cooper runs wide, and Snyder should have at least crossover move into turn 4.
I was getting nervous when you have such a wide entry into the corner.
Kundinger was way out there.
Gonna get sideways, but gonna keep the car going in the right direction.
Hung onto it as Cooper sits 13th right in front of Snyder. Jumping back up the road to check in on Morelli and Jake Johansson and Justin Johansson. So both Johanssons right behind the 714 fight for 8th. Coming to 5 laps to go this time through.
Still no development really for the lead. I think it's safe to say he's run away with us now with a 2.5 second gap over Christian Oss.
Well, yeah, and notably Oss has moved back into second. He fell to third, got by Eric Mickey after Mickey got passed by Hefner, and now Arroyan's gotten between Oss and Mickey as well. So move Mickey all the way back to 4th.
And not completely said and done though. He's got a 1.3 gap back to Arroyan, and Arroyan went a second faster than Oss last lap through. So gonna have to defend pretty well if he wants to hold on to that second place spot. In behind there, you see Morelli and Johansson side by side.
Into turn number 1, we'll see if Johansson waits, and he will. Big slip up for the
Morelli,
714.
poor entry into turn 1. You see him trying to make it back on the exit. Nowhere to go though. Whoa, gets really sideways.
You have to basically drive this track a quarter and a half ahead of wherever you are, because as soon as you make a mistake, someone's going to cross you up, cross you over. So if you're the lead car, you have to think about what the driver behind you is going to plan to do. And if you're the trailing car, you have to be thinking about how you're going to set yourself up for the next corner in the sector. Isaac Snyder off again. Turn 4.
Not a particularly good race for him.
No.
Especially just starting up in, near the front.
Nicholas Morelli in the 714 and Jake Johansson still running 8th, 9th, and Justin Johansson back in 10th as they head through the slower section of this racetrack. It's closest battle on your screen at the moment.
Team trying to now build. Whoa. You can see these guys are trying to swing these cars back out to the next side of the track for the next corner, but you can't because these guys are just getting way too loose, and you can see them trying to wrestle these things under control.
Well, the problem you're having is that these cars have a plenty of aero, and in the higher speed corners, I think they've got decent downforce. At low speed, the downforce isn't doing you any good. You're relying all on that mechanical grip, of which you don't have very much because of the high temps. But this will be a pass for 8th as Johansson heads to the inside of the front straight.
Gotta get a little bit of side drift too as well off of Morelli. And behind is Justin Johansson with a big run in his WeatherTech Ferrari. Gonna maybe try to follow Jake on through.
And Justin's gonna have to pick a line here. He might pick driver's right because that's what just worked for Jake.
He's not gonna be close enough to dive. He's gonna attempt it though to the inside.
Yeah, he is there.
Yeah, but this next corner, this is where I get a little bit concerned here. Side by side, not gonna work. You see Justin back out. Give Morelli the spot.
Next time by will be 3 laps to go for the race leader. It is Zach Hefner by over 3.5 seconds over Christian Ost. Ost is second, but Jeff Royan closing in for that P2 spot. And they work their way through the middle sector now with Royan last time by just about 0.6 of a second quicker. So this time is borrowed for 157.
See if he can put up a really strong effort to defend for the next 3 laps. Again, that's easier said than done. If nothing else, really solid run again for Christian Ost after he worked from the back of the grid in race number 1, second to last up to the front.
I think the goal now is just to not throw this away. If Royan's quicker, let him by. I mean, don't fight over a second versus a third and get yourself taken out with 2 laps left in this race as we actually hit 3 to go this time by. I don't think you're going to be able to hold off Royan. He might try for a second, but I think as soon as he's got overlap, he'll give it a go. See, Bombshell Racing Team cars trading positions. The 87 goes through to 4th, and Mickey back to 5th.
That 3-car battle you're looking at, battle for 8th between Jake Johansson, Nicholas Morelli, and Justin Johansson.
Morelli has lost some ground now to Jake, but he's got Justin in the WeatherTech Ferrari all over his rear bumper.
Yeah, Justin's breathing down his neck. Got a little bit wide on the exit at turn 4. That cost him a few tenths.
And a little wide did Justin to maybe try to late apex that corner, but it didn't work quite like he wanted. We'll jump back up to second because Ost is right in front of Royan, and I can't imagine for too much longer.
Well, they always said catching is one thing, passing is another. I'm kind of surprised. Would have thought Royan would have been able to work around. This is the same situation he was in last lap behind Ost. See, there's a decent gap. Ost gets a really good run out of that corner.
Yeah, he just set that up perfectly to get that run onto the straightaway and begins to gap Royan, and that's going to be very difficult for Royan to make up. Now, what Ost just did there, moved to the left to try to arc the corner, that slowed him down. I don't think that was what he needed to do. No. So this time by 2 laps to go, and a huge run for Royan as they head down into the first corner.
See the switching back across the front straightaway, down deep into turn 1. Defends it.
Did a good job.
Yeah, I mean, it's working.
Crumb's coming too, so Royan's going to feel the pressure shortly. Will he have a look into 4? Oh, that was almost a touch.
And getting a little bit impatient with Ost.
Isaac Snyder's gone around again at the back of the pack. We're going to stay focused on this fight for second with 2 laps to go. Ost has second place, so Royan's third.
Crumb
spins!
No, that's not what he needed. I'm pretty sure that was by himself.
Yeah, I think it was just all on his own. Just got in too hot, too much, too deep.
fall down the order.
That's big for Zach Hefner in the points. That almost, I don't want to say it locks it up, but it gives Hefner a massive advantage.
And Kirkhome's been trying to fight back after he got a 25-point penalty at Silverstone. So that's really why the gap is so big between them in points.
It's a bit of a slide and didn't quite. It was a pretty decent setup regardless, though, and he'll be able to pull a slight gap on Arroyan. Not sure if it's enough to defend. They'll be coming to the white flag this time through as they come out of Indianapolis Oval Turn 1. Where's Hefner? There he is by 4.3 seconds. You're going to see soon Ost and Arroyan for second, battling as they come out of the final corner.
And here they go again. Great run for Arroyan. I'm not saying it might be it, but this is the best chance he's had from what we've seen.
Into the braking zone for the first corner. White flag is out for the race leader. And he hangs on again.
Can't get it done on that outside.
Zone and Shimelski, this is for fifth. Zone around the outside.
I think between these two, that might be it, unless Ost makes a mistake here.
Always possible. I just don't. I thought Ost was going to get past pretty quickly, but he's defended very well, and he's quicker in a very key part of the racetrack. That final corner of the infield to set you up onto the oval. He's been crushing everybody.
More
there.
so than anything, he's really going to make sure that Arroyan doesn't get a run on him heading back to the line. He could still pass him by the start finish if he's not careful, and again, needs to just get another solid run back into the oval section.
Into turn 9 and 10. And Ost really just needs to focus on this final corner. There's really nothing that he can do to gain time on Arroyan through here. It's all about setting up. And I'm not sure if he did enough. 0.4 of a second. That seems like a significant margin. See if he can hang on to it. Up front, though, Zach Hefner in the 51. He started all the way back in 8th place. He'll come from 8th to 1st to get the checkered here at Indianapolis Race 2. Ost and Arroyan back to the checkered flag for them. Ost, a very solid 2nd place. Arroyan 3rd, Mickey 4th, Brian Sohn, and Shimelski coming out of the final corner. This is a battle for 5th.
Yeah, it's going to be at the line. It's going to be Sohn, then Shimelski, and then Jake Johansson in behind, flashing lights.
About a couple tenths of a second between those two drivers. Kurt Crum and Benjamin Pagula across the line. Crum looks like he will grab.
Yeah, got the pass.
10th spot. Now, 20th is the driver that we're watching. It would be Thomas Cooper, so I'm not exactly sure how that invert's going to work.
I believe it's going to be regardless, because they can't, it's not another server. They can't, how do you say, they can't account for if you didn't come across the finish line. So it looks like it should be Thomas Cooper that'll be starting on the pole for next race. Notable drivers at the front as well. Andrew Mickey looking to be starting up in 2nd. Sartaj Mann, again, that team we saw do a really solid job when they had the track position to work with. He's going to be starting in 3rd with Corey Hart's starting in well, unless that's just timing and scoring messing up.
The result screen is the only thing that would be accurate, so if you're looking at that, then you're... I don't know what you were looking at, but...
I was looking at that before they started.
Okay,
so...
All right, well, we got a 10-minute break here before we start for the 3rd and final race of the night, so stick with us. We'll be right back in just a Welcome back live to Sim TV and the Sim Championship Racing Series Ferrari Challenge from Indianapolis Motor Speedway. My name is Kyle Heyer, joined by Finney DeCuna for the third and final race of the night. from this very famous facility in Indianapolis, Indiana. We saw 2 races so far, none of which were really barn burners. They weren't incredibly action-packed, but we did see some pretty solid racing throughout the field. And race 3, we're going to invert the top 20 from race 2, which is going to totally mix things up. And now I think we're going to see quite a bit of action.
Yeah, especially seeing the guys in the back trying to work the way to the front. It's going to be pretty difficult. Again, we've seen passing for the most part. In certain sections of the track, it can be quite difficult, especially once you start to fight the guys up in the front. We saw an example, Roy, who was a second faster than Christian O's in the end of last race. Even though he was a second faster, wasn't able to get the pass done with the draft. O's was able to defend and keep him in behind and hold on to that second place finish. So even with the speed, you really gotta figure your way out to pass by yourself. You can't just rely on just your overall pace of the guy ahead of you. You really gotta work your way around and open up a passing zone.
So checkered flag is out here in the warm-up. We'll head down momentarily to the grid to bring you the 3rd and final race of the night. Slightly longer, 20 minutes. That changes things a little bit, gives you a bit more time, but I don't think the franticity is going to slow down at all because we've seen how difficult it is to pass here. I think that's totally going to change how this race looks.
Getting the grid lined up, it is going to be Thomas Cooper that's going to be set to line up on pole. Andrew Mickey up in second place, and Sartaj Man, your top 3. Trying to look for any other notable ones. Kurt Crum is going to be starting up at 11th, so he's going to be right smack dab midfield after he had an incident. We saw him loop it in the hairpin, and he lost quite a few spots from that incident.
So, lining up for our 3rd and final race, again, 20 minutes is what we're going to be seeing here as we come on through. Trying to decide if laps or what this is going by. I basically forced it to show time now, and now it looks like it's defined by laps, so I'm not really sure what's going on. But
I don't either.
You know, the weird thing is that it was weird at Charlotte, and then it fixed itself, and now it's getting back weird again. I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, I don't know either.
I haven't changed anything. That's sort of a lie. I did do.
No, but even if it was time, because Lime Rock was weird because we almost never see, because the way they've set it up from what I've seen, it's they make it either 15 laps 15 minutes,
right?
20 laps 20 minutes, like stuff like that. And there was only really a problem at Lime Rock because you run less than a minute a lap. Everywhere else
it worked right though, didn't it?
Well, no. They ran by laps at Lime
Rock, right.
Because the laps were so short. That's why, because it was under a minute a lap. That's where it was a little bit weird. Because everywhere else, almost every other road course is over a minute a lap. So even if this was set for 20 minutes, it should still be.
It's just one of those things. It's like I thought I understood how iRacing works, and I just still don't.
So from the look of it, it looks, from the information we're given at least, it looks like we're set for 20 laps. But even the estimation that it's giving us is not right. It shouldn't take them 17 minutes to do.
We're gonna find out and see what happens. I also, this is a side note, not related to this series in any way, but I was talking to Tomo about their next season of the Grid Life iRacers thing, and he was interested and intrigued by a Formula One style knockout qualifying, which I don't think they're gonna do. But I thought that'd be really cool for the SCCA's F3 series, where you're eliminating people, but you basically every couple minutes in qualifying, you're basically disallowing them to continue running, and then you get down to the last like 5 or 10 drivers that are all going for the pole. I think that'd be fun. I think it'd be a good show. I think I wish there was kind of an increased level of importance in qualifying. Like the Formula One broadcasts always make qualifying feel super important because it is.
It's really, and they make it entertaining.
They make it very entertaining. And I want to do that, but it's so difficult to really do it.
Whoa, Cooper off into the grass on the pace lap.
This is not a good sign of things to come.
Yeah, it looks like he's able to find a bit of asphalt to get back onto the racing surface without causing further incident.
That was a little embarrassing, but I'm sure he'll get that line back up. As he's kind of boxed in right now as he tries to get back to his spot on pole. Oh, I think he's a little confused.
Surrendering?
Could be. I think that's what he's doing. He's getting out of the way.
Hey,
well, that's going to be really confusing for everybody. But as we
so
come
it's
out,
going to be Sartaj Man that'll be leading the field of green now.
Well, just like last week, one of these Peak Performance Motorsports cars up out front. We've inverted 20. Our last race tonight, whatever 20 it is. Here we go at Indianapolis. SCRS Ferrari Challenge round number 12 as a car
that's
spun,
Hefner.
and it's Hefner. He loops it immediately with damage to the nose of the car as we head down into turn number 1. Here comes Mickey up the inside for the lead.
Side by side for the first few rows of cars. Looks like we're going to get ourselves sorted out. Really interested in what happened to Hefner to get looped around like that.
But it just jumped on the brakes and then back onto the throttle too quickly. But either way, it put him all the way down in 19th spot. Trouble.
Oh, I think that might be Newmaster.
It is Terry Newmaster. Corey Hartz and Carter Kundinger. This is for 5th as Sartaj Mann and Andrew Mickey lead this race with Isaac Snyder in 3rd. We'll see if Snyder can pull out a good finish after this. But Ben Shout's a little wide. Kundinger trying to set him up for 4th.
Oh, a little bit loose on the exit for Ben Shout, and he's got a huge amount of cars in behind. Looking at Carter Kundinger now trying to make a move as well as Kurt Crum, 5th and 6th. He's going to go way out wide. Kundinger going to get up by, so will Kurt Crum.
That was a big missed corner for him. It's going to be very costly. Corey Hart's in behind, got real tight and dicey there for a moment.
Shout almost clipped Kurt Crum at the end, almost sent him around.
So Sartaj Mann's got to run right now. He had pretty good pace at Lime Rock last week. I think he can. He's just got to go hard and go now.
Like I'm saying again, these guys, this team, really good at racing, not so good at qualifying. Similar to I am when I race. I'm really not that good at qualifying.
I didn't know you were good at anything, to be honest.
Whoa,
no, Mickey! On the oval.
Oh, and actually even the 66 Ben Shout, he was a little bit loose on the inside as well.
What's going on? I don't think the
Oh, no!
Oh! Bad crash in the background. That is Thomas Cooper in the 584.
Oh, no. What is that going on?
Absolutely destroyed. Oh, my. That would have been.
I saw 3 cars that got relatively loose on the oval.
That would have been an absolutely
so Andrew Mickey got loose
wreck.
there. He almost hit the wall. Ben Shout, there you see him. He went for a little bit of a slide to the inside. If you guys were kind of, getting that little shake-off effect when you get sideways.
Oh my gosh, that would have been absolutely horrendous in the real world. But Jonathan Rodriguez, he's gone wide in the hairpin. Meanwhile, Sartaj Mann, he's dropped down to 4th as Snyder goes through to lead Kundinger to 2nd.
Sure, he had a problem that he lost so much track position. So Snyder going to take the lead of this race. Kundinger in 2nd, Kurt Crum in 3rd.
Ben Shout back by for 4th in the 66. Morelli and Mickey, and here comes Ost up the inside for 9th.
There you see also, or in that shot, that was Royan and I think also Hefner. Hefner's currently 11th, and Royan currently in 13th.
Isaac Snyder leads this race with Carter Kundinger behind him, but the car we should be watching is Kurt Crum. A lot of time left.
Yeah, and he's going to be eyeing again to win this race. Did not have a good race, too. Lost quite a few valuable points. But, whoa, Andrew Mickey going to pull way out of line here.
I don't like how to look at 06 cars on the inside. He was loose there for a moment as well.
Yeah, it was loose on the exit. I saw the back end shift a little bit. Was able to correct back in behind. I think that's Sartaj Mann making a move to the inside of Kurt Crum.
Other way around, Crum to the inside of Sartaj Mann and move him into 3rd, the 87. This is Zachary Hefner on through into 10th. As Isaac Snyder, the race leader, goes off in turn number 4. Was there a touch maybe? Oh no,
he
just got in hot.
And he went.
These cars are just on ice tonight. They are unable to grip. And he'll drop all the way to the tail of the field as we go back to the lead because Carter Kundinger has it. Kurt Crum, though, is closing.
I think this might be relatively easy for Kurt Crum, although I said that we were talking about that with Royan over Christian Nose.
That didn't happen like we thought it would.
So definitely keep an eye and see if Kurt Crum can get the job done.
I see Christian Ost back there in 8th place, so he drove from fairly deep in the field, 19th to 8th for him. And looking at 7th and 6th as Sartaj Mann, a little slow as Justin Johansson goes around trying to get a run back onto the oval, but can't quite get there in time. Ben Shout having a podium run so far. Starting off a little shaky, but he's got some pace in that car, it looks like. Oh, Corey Hart's big block on Morelli. Morelli goes to the inside on the oval.
Whoa, and gets sideways as he's trying to make the move happen. Gonna get on by. Now you see Christian Nose lining up in the draft of Corey Hart, trying to make a move. Speaking of which, Kurt Crum trying to make a dive for the lead. Can't get it done. And behind.
Oh, we're 3 wide. Ost in the middle for a moment, but he's gonna back out. Now go up underneath Morelli as he misses turn 1, at least the apex of it. And back up to the race lead, Kundinger and Crum battling for it.
All over the back of Kundinger trying to get that spot. got a little bit of time to play with. We got 15 minutes exactly right now remaining in this race.
Oh, slip, couldn't get the car turned in. Mickey had gone around to the back of the field down in 17th place. Crum and Kundinger through onto the back straightaway, and there's just no grip out there right now.
And a lot of guys coming onto the straightaway a little bit sideways on entry. Big pack of cars.
There's a big stack up, like you said. One of those cars is Corey Hart's on the inside of Jake Johansson in the black Ripex Engineering car. Backs out, tries to line him up for another pass, and there's Nicholas Morelli, the meat and the sandwich, and Christian Ost right now, as Hindi said earlier today, the cork in the bottle through this middle sector.
Trying to move himself back up, and this is a really impressive climb because remember, Ost had to start all the way back 19th, yeah. So we're gonna already move himself up into 6th, one of the biggest movers of the race.
Morelli wants back by though, and looks like he'll go. Ost will go defensive as we jump to the lead because Crum's gonna have a look for the lead down into turn number 1. Here comes Kurt Crum. He's got it and he's through.
That was a great dive to the inside. Gonna park the bus in through turns 1 and 2.
Wow, that was really tight. For 4th spot, it was Sartaj Man and Ben Shout nose to tail as they went into turn 1.
Ooh.
Here's Morelli and Hefner for 7th.
Morelli almost got into Hefner. Hefner gonna have an easy line up the inside of 3 now into turn 4.
Oh, man,
contact.
and Ost get together, and Morelli's gonna get turned off the bumper of Jake Johansson. The trouble there is we go back to the lead, Crum and Kundinger.
Crum, after an excellent move down into turn 1, going to maintain his lead. Oh no, another. Oh, two
both,
around.
Both of these peak performance engineering cars, Corey Hartz and Sartaj Man, in one corner. I think Sartaj was the first one to go around, and then he gets clipped, and that's just a disastrous.
Yeah, that's the tough thing too.
situation.
Again, with the ABS, it's a curse and it's a blessing and a curse sometimes, and unfortunately, you can't really hold
Mostly
the
a
car.
curse in these cars.
yeah, or at least what we are.
I mean, it got tired to avoid the lockup if you're threshold braking properly, but the ABS is. You kind of learn to use it in these cars. Problem is when you get spun around, it's a big detriment.
Yeah, when you get spun around too, and you try to hold the car down, you can't lock up the tires to keep the car planted, so drifted a little far back, and unfortunately got his teammate. But looking at our leaders here, still going at it. Kundinger's not falling off Kurt Crum, still trying to chase him back down.
Into turn 1, Kundinger with a run, but he's going to sit on it, won't go anywhere with it. As deeper in the field, Jake Johansson and Jeff Royan. This is for 7th into turn 1.
Are gonna send a big dive into turn 1 up the inside. Looks like Jake's gonna let him on by.
Royan into 7th. Ost and Hefner traded spots for 5th. Move Hefner to P5. We're not even halfway through this race yet. All hell's broken loose up at the front, but Crum and Kundinger still running nose to tail. Kundinger took a swipe at him, unable to drive up along the inside though.
Gonna compromise his eggs a little bit from that move.
Trouble for Ost.
Oh no, after it was going so well, this hairpin has claimed a lot of cars tonight.
And this in turn 4, it just carries too much speed, very treacherous. We're talking about high track temps. Let's take another look at the weather. 116, that's hot enough to cook something on.
Yeah, that makes sense that it's hotter than what we've seen before. We've seen, again, guys getting loose on the oval, which we haven't really seen before.
I've never seen that in any GT car. And obviously we know the tire models, deficiencies sort of lie in those high speed, high downforce situations where the car just doesn't seem to have any grip at all. But that was very peculiar. As Shout runs wide, he'll let Hefner on through for 4th. I'm not sure if he'll let him, but he's at least leaving him in the space. There is 3rd place Justin Johansson. Zachary Hefner now 4th, Ben Shout. Then Royan, Jake Johansson, Brian Sohn, and Brian Shabelski, who run nose to tail down into turn 1, and Shabelski's gonna have a look on driver's right.
Try to have a dive Sohn break later, and is gonna still hold on to the spot.
Kundinger's keeping Crum honest though, and there's always possibility for a mistake. You saw him slip.
Yeah.
He's out wide. Kundinger to look to driver's left. Can he have a run? And you just have to keep putting the pressure on, because he can and will make a mistake if you make him or force him into one. And we almost saw that there. He almost stepped over the limit of the car.
That's the thing you gotta be careful for, especially you can't let your guard down when you got someone right in behind you. And again, Kurt Crum needs some points to his name. Did not pick up a good amount in the last race. Here he's leading the race, and his rival in 4th.
This still makes Imola and Road America basically must-wins for him at least a couple times, with Hefner having some bad luck.
Yeah, even not if it's not must-wins, he needs to at least beat the 51.
Right, which he hasn't been doing on a regular basis. So that, I think Hefner is certainly the front runner in the championship heading into the last 2 rounds of the season. It'll be next week at Imola, and then I'll be absent for the Road America race with the startup of the next version of the SCCA's Esports Super Tour on Thursday nights. But have a look. Here's Kundinger to the inside of Crum for turn 1, and Crum's going to let him have it relatively easily, but cross him over in turn 2.
Oh, he's got a fender there. It's going to be tight here through 3. In turn 4, I'm interested in seeing how he's going to make this move work. Going to be really tight on that inside.
But now if Kundinger can stay on the left here, he'll have a good run into the hairpin, and Crum has to leave him some space.
Yeah, again, really tough section to run side by side through. One driver's got to yield. In this case, it was Crum. He's going to have to try to fight for that lead back.
Wow, power move for Carter Kundinger. He's put himself back in the lead.
And they can afford to fight. They got a decent gap back to Justin Johansson in the 119 in 3rd. So they can afford to play with each other and try to settle this out amongst themselves, worrying about that 3rd place car catching back up.
I'm not worried about the 3rd place car. I'm worried about the 1st place car, because Carter Kundinger caught and passed Kurt Crum. That's hard to do. And we haven't seen, Kundinger's run really well, but we haven't seen him quite this fast in some time. Now, can Crum respond? Is going to have,
I think he can.
5 or 6 laps to go.
Remember, we also saw the inverse of that. We saw Crum get around Kundinger earlier in the race. So definitely 87's got the potential to get past him. I'm curious if he might just sit on behind and just follow the 2 and wait for the last lap to make that pass. Got a few laps remaining in the race.
And he's going to build a run here. About 8 minutes worth of racing to go across the start-finish line into turn number 1. And Kundinger doesn't defend, and I wonder, we haven't seen very many drivers defend into turn 1. I think it's just a hard corner to enter on driver's right. Crum's gonna miss it, and Kundinger back up, and he's gonna try to do what Crum did last time. It worked for Crum, didn't work for Kundinger. Move Crum back to the lead.
Solid pass, not done completely yet. Now it finally is. That was an interesting line into turn 4.
Yeah, and now Kundinger might think that was a little silly because he didn't defend at all into turn 1. I think you have to defend that, Finney. You're going to let him get back by on the inside every time you do that. That was certainly a big mistake there on Kundinger's part, strategy-wise.
Oh, interestingly, Arroyo has gotten past Hefner.
Yeah, it was a couple laps ago, I think, because their lap times weren't vastly
No,
different.
it was just this time, yeah, because Arroyo's got the 5 still on his windshield.
Pass down into turn 1. I think Hefner let him on by. Maybe a bit of a team decision there, potentially. Not sure what purpose that would serve, but they decided to do it.
I'm a bit surprised by that.
So Christian Oss has back up in 11th after his spin earlier in the race. There's Brian Spelski in 12th, Nicholas Morelli in 13th place. But all eyes are on the front 2. Kundinger just let Crum on by last lap through, and I just don't know if he's going to have the pace to run him down again.
He's too far back, at least this time when they come onto the straightaway here. Crum's going to try to defend, but yeah, by the time even Kundinger gets to the back bumper, they're already going to be in turn 1.
Well, so now the whole goal of this lap is to set yourself up for turn 1 next lap, and they're running out of them. 5 laps to go this time through as they head through 1. Nicely stationed line by Crum. And look at how much he gains in the infield here.
Ooh, side, a little bit slippery into turn 4.
And I don't think Kundinger is even close enough to put pressure on Crum. I mean, if you're right behind him, that's why he made Crum make mistakes in the first place, is because he was in the mirrors of the 87 and had Kurt Crum second guessing himself before he went to the brakes. That's what causes the mistakes. And I don't think Kundinger's close enough for Kurt Crum to really be concerned about him at all, so that might make his job even harder.
Kundinger trying to catch back up. He's actually now 7/10 of a second. This is the biggest we've really seen the gap between these two guys since the opening laps.
Yeah, and I don't really see it getting any smaller right now either. So, Benjamin Pagula in the 17, he's going to drop a spot. Isaac Snyder, with that car missing all sorts of body work, moves back up into 9th.
Nose of the car, but not slowing him down at all, it seems.
Pagula wants back by on the inside and chops the nose, does the 333. Solidifies himself in that position. Jeff Royan and Zach Hefner separated by 7/10 of a second, very much like race 1, except they were first, not 4th.
Yeah.
But still a good night for both these cars.
Yeah, I'm curious if maybe, I thought, maybe they would have switched. Maybe they felt Royan was faster of the 2, and then Hefner just kind of tag along in the back. Leaders drafting on each other down into turn 1.
There should be 4 laps to go this time by, and Kundinger Did close on the front straight, but again, not close enough to really worry Kurt Krum. Unless he really figures out this middle sector, it's going to be a costly mistake to not go defensive. As he did, Benjamin Pegula hits pit lane. Has to come on down. Could be an incident penalty that he's serving. Really the closest battle on the racetrack right now that we expect could get racy again is for the race lead.
Still hovering at just over 7/10 the gap between Kurt Krum and Kundinger. So it hasn't really closed down a lot between them two, and Kundinger's gonna have to make that time back up here next time when they come across the line. It's gonna be 3 laps to go, so he is starting to run out of time to get back to that 87.
Gained a lot through that particular corner, but setting up this one here is so important. You see Krum just stretch the gap slightly, and now Kundinger's basically making up for that extra bit that Krum gains on this entire straightaway.
Yeah, and Kundinger looks like he's prioritizing the corner more than the exit. And again, considering essentially this operates like a straightaway, they're just accelerating full throttle through here. You really got to prioritize that exit, especially when you're trying to get a draft on the car ahead. Hasn't quite been doing that. Decent run on him this time by.
175 miles an hour into the braking zone, down the gears, closes in. That was 0.2 better for him this lap, and he was quicker than the race leader. But how much of that is just the toe, and how much of that is Carter Kundinger behind the wheel?
Gotta imagine a little bit of both, especially in this infield section. We see him catch some curb and get a little bit sideways while mounting the curb. Lap car up ahead.
Next time by will be 2 laps remaining. And will that lap traffic play a factor? I think that is Thomas Cooper or Benjamin Pegula.
I believe it's Pegula.
It is Pegula. I don't think he'll be a factor in this. I'm sure he'll get well out of the way. But both these front runners are even gapping Justin Johansson, so no threat from the 3rd place car. Next time by will be 2 laps to go as Krum and Kundinger work their way through the middle sector. You see, that's where Krum gains about a second difference.
Oh, he's gonna get some grass. Ooh, gotta be careful.
Or 0.2 of a second difference, but it was a gain for Krum in Sector 2. Kurt Krum's Sector 1 was an 18.2 and 18.1 for Kundinger. So really that's that middle of the racetrack where Carter Kundinger's really struggling. As they come out of the final corner, it's a 7/10 gap. That's some of the largest it's been since the drop.
And he caught some grass on the exit of that corner as well, so that only made it worse, the exit off the corner, and he's now gaining it back with the draft. But again, now it's looking pretty big. He's 0.8 back entering turn 1. It's only going to expand a little bit as they work through the infield with Krum really stretching his legs here.
So 2 laps left in this race, and now the lap traffic becomes a factor. Even if Pegula gets out of the way quickly enough, it still might hold Kurt Krum up just enough, and it's not. He doesn't need to be held up a lot, just slightly. Or if Pegula makes a mistake and makes Krum jump on the brakes, but Kundinger holding it nice and tight through the hairpin and now through turn 7 onto the back straightaway here.
To get back to the stripe, it's going to be white flag for both these drivers. Oh, I thought he got a little bit loose there. It looked like he was.
That was the fakest enthusiasm I ever.
No,
whoa!
Because I saw him get loose and I was like, oh, he's fine.
Like so mid-O.
Yeah. So I was like, oh.
That's a racetrack, by the way, mid-O.
Hi-O.
Ah.
Here they come back on the straight, and this is actually going to help Kurt Krum if Pegula doesn't get out of the way.
Well,
get a draft
it'll
himself.
help him if he gets out of the way at the end of the front straight. If he stays in the way down through the first sector, it's going to be a problem for Krum. This time by, white flag for the race leader for Kurt Krum. Last lap around. The Bombshell Racing Team 87. He needs to do a whole lot more winning the next couple weeks if he wants a shot at the championship. Pegula stays in line. Now he's going to move to driver's left. That saved him, but Kundinger was able to close slightly. Still too far back, though, unless Krum makes a mistake.
I think that's what he's got to hope for, but Kurt Krum, really solid drive. Only made the mistake in race number 2.
Oh, no! Slide!
Oh,
and
there
here's
it
the
was.
opportunity for Kundinger to come up the inside. That brought him right to the rear bumper as they head into turn 4. Kundinger looks left. Oh, he got a little understeer. Now Krum goes in hot into the hairpin. Can he hang on to it here? He's in deep.
Yeah, you prioritize the entry like that. You see Kundinger trying to make it up through the middle of the corner, now back onto the back straightaway. for the final time.
You have to pounce, and Kundinger tried, but if he had been a tenth closer, he might have had a shot.
Now he needs to try to keep close to Kurt Crum, and now more than ever, he needs to prioritize the exit back onto the oval here.
He's driving in deep, forcing Crum to drive in hard as well. Final couple corners for Carter Kundinger. Can he grab a victory away from Crum? Carried speed, but not enough. Crum got a really good run onto the straightaway here, and that might be it as they come back up onto the banking for the final time. Sim Championship Racing Series action for SCRS Ferrari Challenge. From Indianapolis, the run back to the checkers, Kurt Crum withstood a mistake on the white flag lap in turn number 4. Checkered flag waves. He'll cross the bricks first. He wins at Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Kundinger in second. Johansson in third. Hefner in fourth. Then Jeff Arroyan, Jake Johansson, Ben Shout, Brian Sohn, and Isaac Snyder, Christian Ost, the rest of your top 10.
And notably, Arroyan dropped time to let Hefner back on by. I think they were trying to see, I think Arroyan felt confident in potentially catching Justin Johansson. I think they just decided to switch back after Hefner let him on by.
Checkered flag for the rest of the field now through, and here's a look at your race results. Once again, Crum getting the job done, and that was a scary moment for him. It was a 0.2 of a second gap, a little closer than I think he wanted it to be.
Literally, right as we were saying that he can't afford to make a mistake, he made a mistake, but he was able to recover from it, keep his composure the rest of the lap, and not let Kundinger get to him.
With that, we're going to jump to break for just a moment. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back with post-race interviews with our top 3. And I think, Finney, you got to get rolling, so I'll see you later. It'll be the final time that he's in the Sim TV booth physically for at least a while. He heads back home tomorrow, so goodbye. Bye. All right, we'll be right back. Stay with us. Welcome back live to Sim TV and Sim Championship Racing Series SCRS Ferrari Challenge. Carter, we're here with our second place finisher, Carter Kundinger, in the number 2 car. A valiant effort to try to grab the race lead away from Kurt Crum on that white flag lap. He made one mistake, and it was almost enough for you to get on by. But with a couple laps to go, you stayed on driver's left into turn 1 and gave him the lane into turn 1. Why not defend there?
Yeah, I'm going to be quite honest. I thought that I was going to have a lot more opportunities to be able to pass. after that. So like the first few laps, I decided I'll just stay driver's left, whatever. He can take the inside, that's fine. And I wanted to set him up at least a few times in the last half of the race, but I don't know. I mean, he just got in front of me and he just pulled away, and I was struggling so hard to keep up with him. And then, like you said, he had that just one, basically his only mistake that entire race, and I'm just so frustrated myself that I couldn't take advantage of that. I was just way too far back, and I don't know. It was just a kind of a frustrating night, honestly. Just a handful of errors, and just really wish it would have gone better than it did.
We have 2 rounds remaining in the season, next week at Imola and then the final round at Road America. Either of those 2 rounds tracks you know or think you can win at?
Imola, I mean, I know Imola quite well. Don't know if I can win there. Road America is literally an hour down the road for me, and I love it to death. So it's my home track. Hoping to put on a good performance there for the season finale. But, I mean, honestly, you never know with this series. Like, I came into tonight expecting at least a few top 5s, or at least all 5 top 5s, because I felt really good tonight and just had some errors here or there. So yeah, so Road America for sure. Imola maybe not so much, but hopefully I can pull out some good finishes then.
So we'll see if Carter Kundinger can get the job done at the National Park of Speed in a couple weeks. Carter, thanks so much for talking. We'll talk to you later.
Yeah, thank you, Kyle.
Moving on now to the race winner. It was Kurt Krum that got the job done. A mistake in the final lap. Almost had it slip away there, Kurt, but a run back through the field to grab a checkered flag in race 3. Walk me through your night.
Yeah, it was a little good, a little bad. Race 1 was a lot of fun. Had a good battle with Zach. Race 2, I think the track heat started going up a lot faster than I was feeling, and had a big mess up in that horseshoe turn. And race 3 wasn't too bad. Yeah, it got a little dicey there at the end. Just lost a little concentration and almost threw it away, but managed to hold.
We got 2 rounds left at Imola and Road America. The point situation improved slightly for you in race 3 tonight, but it's still a pretty big hill to climb. What's your goal? What's your strategy for the next couple weeks?
I'm just having fun. I mean, you know, I had some BS penalty points taken away, so really I'm still in the lead of the champion.
All right. Hey, Kurt, thanks for talking to us. Good luck next week at Imola.
All right.
We're going to talk with our next group of drivers. We'll talk to the teammates both at once. It'll be Jeff Verroyen and Zach Hefner that we'll talk to. And I guess we'll start the night with Jeff Verroyen, who ran really solidly in race number 1. Jeff, walk me through your night tonight and until your eventual finish in race number 3.
Yeah, so race 1, I was kind of a little bit rusty with this track. I didn't really know it that well. I hadn't really done that much practice, to be fair, so I just kind of went into it and just kind of hoped for the best. And somehow I ended up getting pole, and I don't know. I got nothing for that. But I mean, I don't know. I went through the first race, got P1 again, and then did pretty well. I'd say the second race, I really need to work on my racecraft because I just don't have the ability to overtake right now, and I don't know. I got to get a lot better at that. But yeah, and then race 3 was okay. Again, I felt like I just didn't really have that good of an overtake. So yeah, I got to do better about that, but pretty good overall.
Zach, this is more of a question for you. In race 1, we saw you work very well with your teammate. Also, there was a pass for position. I think it was in race 3 where you essentially gave up the position. I think that was a little bit surprising for us here in the booth to see you drop a position while you're in the heat of a championship battle. Why was that decision made, and was it to bring the 233 maybe a bit closer?
Yeah, it was just to kind of keep us together, try to get a little further forward, and in the end, team points is good too. So yeah, just to kind of bring us both along, keep us moving on track.
And for both of you guys, we have Imola next week and then Road America as the season finale. What's the teammate strategy look like going into this event? How much planning do you do pre-race, and how much working together do you do in the race in something like a season finale where you got one driver vying for a championship and the other maybe not directly involved?
Pre-race is not much. I mean, what you see 30 minutes prior is what you get. prep, really. As far as team strategy goes, definitely trying to get the overall championship, and Jeff, I think, is helping out with that a little bit, and obviously team points come into play too. Trying to win a team championship. We're still in the running.
All right, guys. Hey, congratulations to both of you. A really strong run for both your team cars tonight, and we'll look forward to seeing you at Imola next week.
Thank you.
Yep,
Much.
sounds
See you
good.
there.
See ya.
That's going to wrap things up here at Indianapolis for SCRS Ferrari Challenge. Round number 12. It'll be 1 week from now. We'll head to Imola for the final race of the season, or the final race of the season that's across the borders of the United States. We'll head back to Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin for the National Park of Speed Road America. That'll be the last round of the season in 2 weeks' time. Thank you so much for joining us here tonight on Sim TV. We'll see you next on Saturday night, I believe, will be our next event with Outsider Racing League from Iowa Speedway at 10 p.m. It'll be followed up on Sunday with GT Rivals, the SRO America GT ACC Championship. That'll be from Bathurst on Sunday at 3, and then right after that, on Sunday or Saturday afternoon, actually the day before that, rather, will be the SCCA Esports Super Tour from Mid-Ohio. That'll wrap things up there. And we'll head off to the weekend here. So thank you so much for joining us. We'll see you next time.